take care of my role as bass player for Taking Back Sunday while I follow my other part, my other passion.
Well, today we will pull some bass and fit and check out, your styling.
Audition.
Yeah, a little audition. We'll see if they can take your place. But I mean, if you're really serious about this, if you're a good dancer, I'd like to see your stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Let's do that.
I've been working on this thing. I need to show it to you so you can compare it. It's raining, yeah?
Okay. You should really plan it.
It's my day, so I can do whatever I want. It's like the first part. There's like whole other movement and it develops from there. But I've been only working on it for a little while.
I think it shows like you've been working on it for a little while.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Well, we'll find you a bass player. We'll also count out your favorite bassist.
Let's bring back up your favorite interpretive dancer and mine, Rubano! I'm just remembering all the things I've been talked into doing over the years now. When you're like in a band situation like that and you get asked to like come do something on television, like your ego kicks in and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do something on television, and then you get there and there's always like a producer giving you some half-baked shit idea, and then you're like, I'll show them that I can do this really well. So when I first joined Taking Back Sunday, one of the most terrifying and worst experiences I've ever had was our first trip overseas to the UK, where we were going to play some festivals and do some touring. And another thing that we, as a band, got talked into was our tour manager telling us we weren't going to have our manager telling us we weren't going to have our regular tour manager for this run, that we were going to have a Norwegian guy named Lars. That's all the details we had while getting on the plane to go to London. So when we get to the airport, we meet Lars, who's like, hates us from the get-go. Lars is just like, and won't give us any details about the tour itself. He just took us to a hotel, checked us in, told us the tour starts in 48 hours and to be ready. So the first show that we do is a big festival in Donington, which is just like a giant muddy, shitty field in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of bands playing. In the UK, well, I guess it happens in the US now too, but like UK festivals don't give a shit about genre lines. They'll put a metal band next to a hip hop. Everything's all over the place and it doesn't matter. So we were like playing pretty low on a bill in one of the tents at this festival, and we were excited. It was like our first show outside of America, like pretty cool. And so we're in our green room, and this big, toothy, chinned guy from Clear Channel comes into our green room and he's like, hi, are you guys Taking Back Sunday? We've got a little favor to ask you from Clear Channel. So you already can feel yourself like getting bent over and something bad is gonna happen. And he, so, do you guys know the metal band Slayer? Anybody? So Slayer's like Metallica is afraid to go on after Slayer. Slayer is a very heavy, a lot of their imagery is like overtly satanic, and their fans are like ravenous orc-like people that, like, a thing about Slayer fans is they'll fucking beat up fans of other bands. Like, if you're not a Slayer fan, you're gonna get your ass kicked at a Slayer show. If you're not into it, if you're not like wearing the shoulder pad, whatever, if you're not like wearing the stuff, you're gonna be in trouble. And so they were like, guys, we have a problem in the running order. Slayer's here, but their crew isn't here. So there's no way for us to get their equipment on stage. And we're wondering if you guys wouldn't mind doing a little switcheroo in the set order with Slayer. And we're like young and dumb and don't have a guardian and we don't have a manager and we have Lars who's like, I don't care what you fucking do. Literally, Lars is like, do whatever. And we're like, all right, Lars, this is a big deal. It sounds like a big deal. And they're like, don't worry, guys. We're going to make an announcement to the whole festival. Everyone will know what time you're going on. And it'll be great. You'd be doing us a huge favor. So we say, okay, we'll do that. We'll help you out. And anytime someone's asking you to do a favor like that, you start to feel like you are actually helping. You're like, yeah, no, that's fine. I'll do that. I'll help out the festival. I'll move it along. And then the problem was that the Slayer fans had already filled the tent. A 10,000 person tent with a full production rock stage, and they're already in there, and the sound coming from the tent is like war drums plus like a giant cavern with a dragon inside. It's just like, everything's just like and we're standing on the side of the stage, and the other thing about Slayer is when they're on stage, there's usually like a giant photograph of something terrible, and then like 3 or 4 high of like Marshall stacks, which are those black square amplifiers that you see on stage. But it'll be like 4 of them stacked overhead, wall to wall, both sides of the stage, and the drum set has like 40 drums on it. It's on a big riser, and there's 3 mics across the front. Any Slayer fan would know that. So, when they start wheeling our little... We each had 1 cabinet. So just keep that in mind. There's like literally 40 cabinets for Slayer, and we each had 1. And we had like this we had a backdrop that, because we were stupid and our manager wasn't there, our backdrop was like 1/5 the size of all the other backdrops. So it like came in like, and it just said TBS on it. We have the fucking band name on it. And the initials were like, I don't know, it's us. And so when they wheeled our stuff out, they started booing our equipment. They didn't even see us. They didn't hear a note. We didn't get even on stage. They were like throwing golf. In the UK, when they don't like you, they throw golf balls, which means they bring golf balls. And they throw 9-volt batteries at you. Also bring those. And pound coins, which with the conversion rate, you want to try and grab them if you can, but if you don't, they'll hurt you real bad. And I'm watching our drum set get like poof, like pieces are falling off of it, paint's getting whipped off of it. And at this point, we are like, no, we're not going to do this. And then the security force at the festival, like 3 dudes in yellow shirts, like all stand arm to arm on the side of the stage and like block it. And we are like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, we've been informed that the stage is unsafe, and if you want to go on, it's fine. You just have to walk by us. It's like a legal thing. You have to pass us. And I was like, I'm not doing that. You stand there. I'm not going to do that. And so, like, last minute, the whole thing ended up being fine, and Slayer showed up, and they played to their followers, and then they stopped, and the fucking Slayer people still stayed. Like, we eventually went on, still in front of like half a Slayer crowd, which was only like the 2nd or 3rd worst gig I've ever done. So then we continued that tour throughout the UK with Lars as our tour manager. And we finished a gig one night in Birmingham, and we're touring on our bus. We're sharing the bus with another band that are friends of ours and equally like irresponsible stoner dickheads, just like not good, not dudes that know how to live and put on pants and stuff. They're just like a mess. They're called Recover. They're a great band, they're great guys, but they're just like train wrecks, bad people. Good people, bad at being people. So Dan, the singer of Recover, and I were close because pot, and we finished the show. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're all getting ready to get on the bus and leave to go to the next city, and we're in Birmingham. Birmingham's like Queens. Like, if you need an analog for Birmingham, it's like basically Queens. And so I'm getting off. Dan and I had just smoked pot on the street, and he goes to get back on the bus. I get on the bus with him, and then I I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I don't have shoes on, I don't have a cell phone, I don't have a wallet, and I'm wearing a t-shirt that has like a pencil drawing of James Dean on it. And I tell Dan, yo, I'm getting off the bus to make a phone call. Tell Lars I'm not on the bus, I'll be back. And I walk up the block and I get into like the red UK phone booth, you know, like this kind of deal. And with my calling card, I call my girlfriend to like say goodnight, who's in New York. And while I'm making that phone call, I get the like, you have 30 seconds left, and my calling card's about to die. So I was like, all right, baby, I gotta go, hang up the phone, open the door of the phone booth, as I see the bus like, and the bus leaves me standing there at 3 o'clock in the morning on the streets of Birmingham. And I figure like, all right, they're fucking with me. They like left me. They're gonna come back. And at the end of the block, like on the street that we played, there's like the street and then there's an overpass like halfway down. And I'm sitting there waiting like, and then I look at the overpass and I see the bus go over the overpass and I'm like, pretty elaborate for a bit. If they really are gonna commit to going all the way to like Oxford and then coming back, that's fuck me. So I was alone with no shoes, no money, no phone, no ID, and I just picture it. I'm the only American guy for like a few miles, and I'm wearing a Jimmy Dean T-shirt. Just like I'm lost. And I try to get back into the venue, which is now miraculously locked down and shut with like gates and no staff anywhere. And I go to a YMCA to see if they'll let me in, and they do not. I try to go to a hotel and said, hey, I've just been marooned and I need to use your phone. And the guy at the front desk like is like, no, sorry, I can't. And then closes the door and like locks the, like I don't have anything with me, and I'm not like threatening in any way. So eventually I find my way back to the loading dock of the venue. I remember that we pulled into the loading dock that morning. And when I get in there, there's like a British security guard. After like, I was like huddled under the loading dock for a little while, just like, well, I guess I'll spend the night here. It was starting to look like that. I was like, I'm gonna have to sleep somewhere. And then this security guard comes in and he's got a little booth, and I go over to him and I explain to him like what I've been through in the situation. He's like, oh, your band played here tonight? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what do you play? Like, I play the bass. He's like, who's your favorite bass player? I was like, dude, look, I'm like, he's like, who's your favorite bass player? I'm like, John Paul Johnson. He's like, British. I'm like, yeah, no, he's British, he's great, he's Led Zeppelin's great. He's like, you like Paul McCartney? Yes, sir, I do. Everyone likes Paul McCartney. Babies like Paul McCartney. He's like, also British. And he sets this up, and I'm like, we're gonna play this game for a little while. I could tell. In between each of these like quizzes, I'm trying to ask him like, hey, can you let me, I need to use the phone, can I please call America? And he's like, crazy? I'm like, no, that's what I need to do. So it was in the age of cell phones. It was like 2006, 7 maybe, 6. And I didn't know any, do you guys know anybody else here's phone numbers? Do you know your girlfriend's phone number maybe, but you don't know anyone else's off the top of your head? You just don't. It's not necessary anymore. We just pull out the name and you push it. So I knew my girlfriend's phone number, and we're in Birmingham. She's in New York. So I call my girlfriend to tell her what's happened. She's like, what do you want me to do? Right? I mean, I called the wrong person. And she was lovely, but she was not equipped to tour manage me back onto the tour. And I was like, okay. I was like, wait, are you on Instant Messenger? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, can you instant message our manager, who's in LA? So it's like 3, 4 in the morning, 4 in the morning probably, 5 in the morning in the UK, it's midnight in New York, it's 9 p.m. in LA. She's like, I'm instant messaging with her now, what do you want me to say? I'm like, everything I just told you. She's like, what do you think? Ask her how she's doing. And I was like, and tell her to call Lars, who's got a Norwegian cell phone. So just put this out. So I'm like calling New York to I am LA to call Norway to have a phone ring in the UK to tell this guy that like, hey, you left a band guy in another city. And so about 4 or 5 hours later, the bus pulls up and Lars comes off the bus and he's like, I'm very sorry. I did a head count, and I realized there are 14 of you and not 13. So I get on the bus and we go to the next show, and then 4 days later it happens again. The whole fucking thing happens all over again. The whole thing, everything that I just said happens again. We wake up. I'm in the bus, I wake up, the bus is parked and it's morning and we're on the M4 on our way into London to play the last show of the tour. And at this point we've developed a very elaborate head counting system that involves Lars reaching into every bunk and touching everyone's head. Like before the bus leaves, like a literal head count of like, yes, always miss his head. And then he can go. So I open Lars's bunk and I'm like, hey Lars! I'm going to get breakfast! And he's like, at this point I've got like carte blanche to do whatever I want with him. So he's like, fine. And I get off the bus and I go have like an English breakfast outside. I have my little like tray with beans and everything and a cup of tea. And again, no cell phone, like 10 or 12 pounds in my pocket. Shoes this time. Clutch to have the shoes. So I go back inside, we're at like a rest stop, but like a nice one. And that's how you know you're on the road for a long time, if you actually care if it's a nice rest stop or not a nice one. So I go back inside to put my breakfast tray back into the cafeteria and get another cup of tea. And as I come back outside to get on the bus is leaving again. I see the bus again, and I'm like, all right. And this time I plant my feet, and I'm just like, they're doing it. This is funny. Cool. First thing in the morning, you dicks? Fine, let's do this. And I'm standing there with a cup of tea, and then they get all the way out of the thing, and then I start running. Then I'm like, oh, this isn't. And I throw the teacup at the bus to try and hit it. I did not. And I go back inside to the rest stop to like, I'm like, hey, do you guys have like a CB radio or a phone I could use? And I'm talking to the owner of the thing who is trying to help me. And he's like, well, I'm like, hey, can I hitchhike? Do you know truck drivers? Will someone take me into London? I just need to go into like just central London. By 9 p.m. tonight, I got all day, it's like, get me into London. And he's like, well, it's this like really friendly Pakistani guy, and he's like, well, the best I can do, he doesn't sound like that, the best I can do is I can draw you a map. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I'll draw you a map to get to the tube station that will take you right to where you need to go. Literally will take you right where you need to go. And I was like, okay, great, can I borrow some money? And he's like, yes, yeah, what do you need? And I was like, how much is the tube? And he'd give me like 5, 6 pounds, whatever. And the map that he draws me is this. It's like a line. It's like a Japanese line drawing. It's like a line that makes some curves. He drew an X at one point, a picture of a bus, and then another line and a picture of a train, and then just wrote London. I'm not even joking. I was like, this? And he was like, but follow it closely. So I follow this map, which takes me to a bus first. I wait for the bus, I get on the bus, it takes me to the East Hounslow tube station, which is like the end of the 7 train. It's like the furthest away. Anyone ever been there? Yeah. Who said yes? That one dude's been to the end of the 7 train. So it's like I get on the tube. It's like it takes me most of the morning to like decipher the map, get on the bus, get to the tube, and as I get on the train, it's like 90 or 70 minutes or an hour maybe ride into London, and I get into right where the venue is, and I come up the steps as I'm walking up to the venue, and I'm like, I made it here by myself with nothing, with no help, and then the bus is like, shh. And Lars is standing in the door of the bus, and doesn't even open the door. He opens the window and he's like, "Come on, this time is your fault." Lars, thanks guys.